Hello, everybody. We are just getting ready to go. We're just going to do a quick tutorial today. This should be great. Hello, guy. All right. So today we are on the CatCraft server. I play here quite a lot. For anybody who knows me, I'm here all the time. And like most servers, we have redstone restrictions to help with lag on the server. Um, you make sure you have to get a little creative with your redstone and how you do things. So today I'm going to show you a design I figured out to create an item sorter that still meets all the rules. So let's get going here. Now, first thing you got to do is figure out where your chunk borders are, because it's very important when you're talking about redstone rules. For Java people, F3G turns on your borders, and this is what they look like. Okay. Bedrock, I don't believe has this option, so you're gonna have to get a little more creative in figuring out where those borders are. Um, you can fill an area up and see when it starts complaining at you, um, just to get that boundary. Once you figure out a corner, it gets a lot easier. So corners will look like this, okay? And then you'll be able to figure out, how you want to place around. So let's get some stuff out. And I will show you how I go about such silliness. All right, just ignore the bells. Um, Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you joining. When you're making an item sorter on a server, the chunk borders matter so much because at least on CatCraft, we have a 64 hopper limit that seems pretty common, and that's per chunk. And that chunk is world height to world floor. So how I've set up my base, we have one floor all the redstone goes on. That way we can make sure we're not messing up our own farms and still within the limits. When you want to make an item sorter, you have to kind of be creative in how you're doing things. So we're going to use barrels. Barrels are more lag friendly for servers. And also on CatCraft, our barrels are actually the same capacity as a double chest. So it's a win-win for us. For this design, the barrel is not any redstone, doesn't count as anything as far as that piece goes. So I put one just inside the corner here. And then we'll put the redstone behind it going back. Now, the other side of our chunk, we have to count it out. And this is really important. Minimum of 8 in. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I will show you a couple different things when we're done here, what hallways can look like with different measurements. The 8 is the minimum. I have actually found 10 is better. You still have a nice size hallway for people to, use and work with. But if you don't put your hopper lines in far enough, you will end up maxing out when you're chaining them together. And we don't want to end up losing or having to redo an entire line of sorting system because you ran out of room. So that is kind of the spacing rules on how to do this on a server. When there's hopper rules and there's rules for all kinds of redstone on most servers. You want to maximize your ability to create a storage space that works for you. So I'm going to show you on this chunk. We're going to put a hopper in the back, and you see we're in a different chunk. So if we wanted to do more lines, we would skip the rest of this chunk for a redstone, and then we would start counting in from here, our 8, so that this would be the next redstone piece. So you end up with this nice big middle hallway, and I'll show you what we're doing with those, because I made this crazy item sorter that's for every stackable item in the game. So it's a little ridiculous, but I'm enjoying it. All right, so now you're going to put another chest on top of that hopper. And this is where a decision has to get made. And I encourage keeping all of the redstone in the same chunk. You can cross over, but it's going to confuse things for your counts. So try to keep it all in the same chunk. And it is a reversible process. So, it doesn't matter what side you're on. For example, here, it goes both directions. It's not picky. You just have to make sure you know where your chunks are for your redstone so you can keep track of it. Now, we're going to just kind of make a ladder and keep going up here. And we're only going to do this like ladder piece for 3. Whoops. Okay. So you can see, whoop, we have 3 of our ladder bits. Okay. Now, the next step is actually putting the real redstone pieces into it. And you will see that we're going to put a chest or a barrel. I know words. We're going to put a barrel right here. And that is actually going to be what our line feeds into. This is where redstone's going to happen. And so it's always offset from your barrel. So it gives you a little bit of wiggle room with things. And I'm actually going to do over here so you guys can see a little bit better without my ceiling in the way. All right. When you're doing a big long line of this, you get really fast at it. Okay, so we're in the same place here. Now we're going to put our barrel here, and then I put a solid block, shift click to do that, just so that you can walk smoothly across here. You can put light sources. I use frog lights a lot, just to make sure you have light at the top of your area. I did that periodically. This is just a filler block. You can literally put anything you want in here. And then we're going to put our hopper behind. This is where the redstone starts. Okay, so this is going to feed into our hopper. The redstone I'm using is actually something that was invented by Impulse SV a very long time ago. It is a super basic redstone, but it allows for overflow and all of that. So I will have a link to his video so you can get some more details on that. But I will show you how it works. So we're going to do 3 back. You guys have probably seen this in a million videos. Okay, so you get this kind of weird cross shape, and we're going to punch out the middle. All right. Now, when you're doing big lines, I like to put a block right here. Oops, too far forward. Okay, because then you can get up in here and see everything that you're working with. So let's go ahead and do a second one so I can show you guys what this looks like as a long string. We'll just do this really quick. Oops. We'll get a brain while we're at it. All right, here we go. Let's just knock this guy out. I have made literally thousands of these now, so I can do them really fast in my sleep. All right. So I like to just go ahead and throw these blocks in here because you're already up here. And then put this other piece in. Because one presumes you're going to have more than one, because otherwise, why do you need an item sorter? All right, so from here, you have that one block you're jumping on to see everything and access. So now we're going to use our redstone bits. You're going to put repeaters on here, and you just stand on this block. You can see pretty well to just hit this corner right here, okay? And then you can bounce and make sure everything's pointed the right way, but we definitely want this pointed forward, okay? Nice little repeater, super basic redstone stuff. And in front, we're going to put a torch right in front of that repeater. The redstone torch is going to get us power for this whole thing. All right, so now we need access. I just make a little stairway off the side, like so. It actually comes out the same depth as your redstone, so that works out really well. Let's see if we can throw a little light. Okay, so now that we have our frame in, we're going to put a comparator and then redstone dust. Okay, so just 3 pieces of redstone dust. And that's basically the redstone. You're all good to go. The last piece is determining what we want to go into this item sorter. So you want to hopper right onto the edge of this comparator, like so. And then you can open the hopper. And you're going to put 4 blocks that you know aren't going to go through your system, or take any block, rename it on an anvil. I just name mine lock, and you can literally use anything. I have used rails, cobblestone, because nothing that goes through your system is going to say lock. The trick to that is when you are done, make sure you throw in lava, somehow destroy any leftover lock blocks. If they go into your system, they will break this whole process. So it won't work anymore. In the first slot, you're going to put whatever it is that you want to actually sort. The way that it works is it gets to 41 for anything that stacks to 64, or 11 for things that stack to 16. Once that's filled, anything else will go down into the hopper below. It'll start going through the system and working its way down to the bottom for you. The way that you know you set it up correctly, this is going to start glowing. So let's just put this in here right now. And you can see we have lights. Now your hopper is ready to go, and anything that comes into it will be sorted. Sounds harder than it is. It's just a lot of repetition, but definitely very useful and very server friendly. And with this, you actually have 5 barrels of storage for each item. So on Catcraft, that equals 5 double chests. Yes, I have overflowed them, but generally most people would not. So it's a really robust system also, as far as that goes. All right. The last piece to a sorter is getting your things in. You need a hopper line. And I am going to show you my crazy hopper lines. So we're going to do an item elevator today. So that's what this here is all for. But you can connect hopper lines all over the place to do different things. So this is a really long line because we have farms in the back here going in. This is our main line, and it's going to go through our entire system. And there's item elevator over here. It's going to be the same design as what we're going to do today. You can kind of see it back there hiding. For us, our floor is at 6 blocks from the ground. Our ceiling is at 8 blocks for our first basement here. And that allows us to have walking room in the ceiling. So this is the area nobody ever sees because it's all the mechanical stuff. But you just want your hopper line to keep moving. When you are creating a hopper line, make sure that the tail, this little piece right here, is pointing the direction you want your items to go. So what can be tricky on a big item sorter, no matter what your design is making sure that you have your tails in the right direction. So what you can do as you go, put down any block and then create your path like so. And then what I was doing is putting barrel at the end so that it could collect anything overflow that got into the system while I was working on it. And then at that point, you can kind of empty that barrel out as needed and then just move things down and connect them together. Depending on how much time you're taking to make this, it's just a stopgap that you definitely want to take advantage of to make that happen. But the real question is, how do we get things into this item sorter along the way? Because if you're like up above, gravity works, you put your hoppers in. No big deal. We are going to make an item elevator, and it's going to go into right here. Now, there's a lot of item elevators out there. I use one by K1 Ink that I really like. I modify everything to my own deal, but I really like his item elevator in part because it's quiet. Item elevators can be very loud and clicky, and that's the main reason people don't like to use them. So he found a way to make them silent, and I think that is absolutely amazing. So let's get our gear out here. You don't need a ton. We use droppers and just some super duper basic redstone. Uh, so hopefully this makes sense for you guys. This is where we're going to go into the line. So we want to make sure that we're lining up with that. Can be like I'm doing it backwards. A lot of people will build their item elevator and then figure out how to connect it to the line. Definitely an option. And I'll show you guys a couple of different tweaks on the item elevator I did already. You can do these one wide, so just a single slice, or two. I have tried it with 3 slices, and I have to tell you, it just seems to clog everything up. But it's definitely doable if you feel like you're in an area where you're gonna have tons of stuff going in. It at least gets those items into your sorter system so that they're getting worked on as you go. All right. So step 1, droppers. And we're going to do those stacking up as high as we need to go to move our items. I'm going to hit my head on the roof. All right, so options with this, you can have it go into a barrel, like so, or into a hopper. This one's not going to need a ton of overflow room for storage, so we're going to go into hoppers. That's the plan. You can hear our spider farm getting used. So I will show you one with barrels when we go over them. We're just going to do a double here. There we go. All right. And then it's just going to go right into that hopper and into our line here. Now, this is all very pretty, but how do we make it work? We need to get items into here. So we're going to put hoppers so that they can feed in. And you can just throw things in the hopper, but I like to have the barrels so that you can put things into it. and have it look cute. You can decorate around it. Back here is where all the business happens. So behind it, you're going to need at least 6 spaces. I personally actually prefer 8 just because I like to be able to maneuver around my things and make sure I can kind of check up on stuff as it goes. I do a lot of stress testing as I build item sorters. So we want to make sure that that's all part of the process that you're taking into consideration. Okay. Now, we are going to build a super basic item elevator. You guys have probably seen this over and over and over again, but put a block behind, and then we're going to put it in comparators. And we want these in subtract mode. Now, what that means is that as they work, they're going to be taking things out of an item to push it forward. So this is how we do that. So for the item sorter itself, we have them in add mode because we want to pull things out of the line and add them to what we're doing. We want to pull things out of these droppers and push them forward. So that's why the subtract mode took me forever to figure out why that was. So I wanted to make sure I took a moment to explain it. And then we're going to have a block. And behind here, we're going to have torches on the edge going diagonal. Okay. Then we're going to go up and on this area here, we want blocks over this. And if you just shift over it, it'll put it right on top. Okay. So he's kind of protected there. That's how we want. And then we're going to put blocks over these torches like so. And right here, we just want a repeater. So we got everything going. Okay. And then we're doing redstone torch spam. We want torches everywhere here so that they can get to work. And then one cutesy little dot of redstone on either side on the edges here. And then this is where the elevator gets working, especially if I don't lose my blocks. There we go. We're going to put blocks above that. And then redstone. You hear those clicks? That's our hoppers getting, or yeah, our droppers getting engaged. That's the sound that you want to hear, okay? And then we are gonna just go up here. Want redstone there. And we're gonna put myself high enough so you can see. We want blocks above. And you will just do this for as far as you want it to go. And you're just gonna keep putting in redstone torches, okay? We're gonna sneak up to the top because we have our ceiling laid out in the way. All right. And this will get really cozy, but there we go. That magic click is what we're looking for. And that means that this is all gonna work. Now, when we put things in here, it's gonna be noisy. All that clicking, that'll get old really fast. So we're gonna put a redstone torch right here. And that makes all the noises go away. It just turns the whole mess off, which is fabulous. So now it's moving, but you're not hearing it. And a great way to know that things are moving is you see all that flashing? That's our machinery working. And you'll see it popping through your droppers as you go. And that's how we're going to get things from over here into our sorting system. Now, I want to show you some of the different setups that you can do because I actually have them in this basement. I'm going to run over here to our other item elevator where you'll be able to see what it looks like with just the hoppers. And then I'll show you what it looks like with the barrels and the little bit differences in the application. And here are all of our cats. So this is working because we're still stress testing the last piece. And they're feeding right into these hopper lines. So it's a little bit backed up because, like I said, we're stress testing. But so you'll see what's in there. And as you fill it up, this is the stuff waiting to move forward. So you can see as you go what you have in your system that's needing to be sorted out and is ready to work. Okay. And then so it's super basic and it just feeds into our artery line here. This is actually our upstairs insert area and it's tying in here also. So it all goes together and you can see it pulling items. On Catcraft, we're actually at double speed, so things move very quickly. This is just our kelp farm. We'll talk about that another day. But I did leave the mechanical bits open so you guys can see what it looks like in here. So this is, I'll start over here. This is our insertion point. So these are the barrels that you saw. We made it pretty. Yes, no TNT in item sorters. Every time the TNT moves, it has the potential for exploding. You don't want to explode your item sorter. About the only thing you can't put in. And so, it looks very familiar. Same system. We use composters on top of hoppers. It blocks the AI of the hopper trying to pull things down. So if you have hopper lines that are not doing things where they need to pull from above, make sure you put a solid non-updatable block so that the hopper quits trying to read it. These are super inexpensive composters, and so that's what I use. I really like them to block that up. And then we come up here, and so you see we have our dropper line going up like we just did, and then the last dropper we have going forward, and it goes into a barrel. This line's pretty clear. And then, so let's see. Let's break this barrel so you guys can see the turn. Whoop. So we can fall down because I'm good at things. Okay, so the last dropper actually faces forward so that it feeds into the barrel. See, this one's all full because that line's running right now. So then you can see it goes into there just for some extra storage capacity as you're running through the process. Okay. And then it just goes into the line. Of course, that one's done. And then this is our primary line where everything's going into running through the system. When you're looking at the redstone mechanics, this is kind of what it looks like. I made my aisles 25 deep. So on each side here, you have 25 slices of what we just made. And then I put in a roof and kind of like a little walkway so I can come in here and service this. So I put blocks between. And you want to make sure if you do this, do not put a block here and break your redstone line. It will technically still work, but it seems to glitch sometimes on servers. So it's just better to leave it open. It's not like you can fall down if you have the rest because it's just that little block down. So you'll be safe. But I definitely encourage doing that. Now, when you make a huge system like I have, you're going to see things are moving because we're standing here. But if we go further in, things get a little clogged up because the chunks aren't getting loaded. So you want to make sure, especially when you're putting a lot through in your stress tests, that you come visit and see now it's starting to move because we're here. But things will get really backed up on you and you won't see things hitting into the barrels the way that you expect. So all of that tech talk, let's see what it looks like when we go through the different steps. Now I literally, my my item sorter is literally over 100 chunks because we wanted to make space for all of these things, right? So we have the whole line, and I'll show you where it ends so you can see kind of how we did it. And it's very raw because I just finished it, but I wanted to show you guys what it looks like before it's all pretty. And so you can see the frog lights that I was mentioning, to just throw some light in here. So each of these slices has an assigned seating essentially. And here at the end, we have blank ones because that's our overflow. Anything that, like, let's say a sword gets in here because our mob farm is actually tied into our item sorter. We get an item that's not actually part of our system. It will come in here. Um, this literally just got done, so it's there's nothing here yet. Or if you have overflow, we have a huge basement, so we did a lot of digging. So we ended up with a lot of extra stone, for example. I went ahead and made extra slices, but there'll be overflow stone and things in here so that we know we have way too much of something. We need to sell it or figure out a way to get rid of it. Okay. But this is what it looks like between them. You have a nice long hallway you can do something with. You have options. It's really just decorative. Make sure there's nothing redstone. That's the only rule. And then this is with this one's actually 9 out from the chunk. So you still have a nice hallway width to work with. I did do one where it was 10, so I'll show you what it looks like a little more narrow. These are all the same. I have signs up for my clan so they can help decorate and things. So this is where we did the 10 in from the chunk border. It's a little bit more narrow, but not bad. I feel like it's still a great width for working with and just in general maneuvering around. So let's see some of what we've been doing so you can see some of the potential. I love blue ice for ceilings. The whole server has been helping me collect blue ice because I'm using a lot of it. We boxed in our redstone. I am paranoid about redstone being protected, so definitely something you will want to do just to make sure nobody accidentally messes with it, especially on a server. You don't want water anywhere near redstone. Water is the bane of all redstone. And so I just have all these different things. There literally was a list I found and made sure it was updated. And you can just see like lines of redstone. They're protected. And then we have a ceiling above all of this ice. So we just put a ceiling floor for me to walk around for management. And then we started making pretty under that. So for example, this is one option. This is our food court. We made it kind of a old, kind of a Greek sort of feel to it. We've got a little river fake going on. We got vines. It looks amazing. This was actually done by Athena Sabo, and we call it our food court. It's where all of our prepped, ready to eat foods are. So it turned out great. I'm super impressed with it. And this is our overflow stuff I was mentioning because that just got put in. This is all extra bricks that we have. And then so many different ways you can design and different themes. This is a little bit futury. This is where all of our lights are. This is our raw foods and all of our light sources, and everything that can make a light is in here. We're still working on, decorating the floor, sprucing it up a little bit, but that's the basic vibe for this space. And then different designs we've been playing with for redstone access. You do want to have access to your redstone. Generally, you can put it and ignore it as a rule, but you want to have access just in case something goes wrong, something goes in it that shouldn't. TNT shows up. This is all wood. So we made a wood frame on it to help us know what's in it. Again, it's still early stages decorating. It's just a little bit framed in there. Um, this one I really want to show because it's amazing. This actually was finished up by Dark Wolf, and the design in here is just spectacular, making it very light and open. And so, as you can see, like these item sorters can do so many different things as far as decorating. This one's all of our sand, and it has that kind of sandy plaza sort of thing going on, which is super fun too. But now you're thinking, okay, we have all these hallways doing nothing. What are you going to do with that? These are great places to show off things that you've been collecting or artwork that you might have. Here on the server, we have events where we get special items. And so that's one of our things that we're doing. But this is what I call the Hall of Heads. We can get different heads for various things. And, you know, we have hot chocolate mugs and the dragon egg. You can get all kinds of different things, including the sniffer. So this is where all of our heads that we're collecting as a clan are going to end up being, is our Hall of Heads. So you can get really creative on decorating and how you want to use that space. This is our event items. We just had the Poco Cats event, and these are the items that we collected. Right now, we do have a holiday event going, and there is a lot to collect. So we have our collection wall, and when it's over, we'll have one of each thing, and we'll put them into our events hall so that we have our full collection ready to go. So just get creative and, you know, use your space in between your item sorters in fun ways so it doesn't feel like you have a bunch of redstone dead space. Now, the one area that might trip you up just a little bit is right here at the very beginning, because you want to make sure you have lots of access. We could make an open hall here, but I want this basic piece closed up. So we have this hall. We haven't figured out what we want to do with yet because it'll be only open on one end, because I really want the redstone access there. But this is the only one we're kind of stumped on, but we will get there. And even here, if you wanted to, you can maneuver this into a pathway through. This will be something like a big mall when we're done. So that's kind of what we're working towards, getting all of this integrated in and then making a really just neat mall space, so that it's fun to come here and get things and it's not always a chore because it is a huge sorting system. um, Anyway, I appreciate you guys coming to see all of our fun server friendly item sorter things. If you have any comments, I definitely would love to hear them in in the chats. And I will make sure the descriptions have links for all of the tutorials that I use to learn how to make these things and get a jumping off point. Um, in the meantime, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for coming.